Welcome back everyone. Thank you for joining me today for a review of the Yukika Tarot by Stasia Yukika Burrington. So this video is in two parts. The first part, I'm going to give you a bit of a review of the deck, my own impressions and opinion. And then in the second part, I will go through and do a full flip through of all 80 cards. It's an 80 card deck. And I will timestamp those in the description box below. So, as always, we start with a cup of tea. I'm going to, for this review, I'm going to just shuffle the deck. And then as I talk about it, I'm going to show the cards. I'm not going to go through all 78 cards because that's for the second part of the video. So it comes in a really lovely box, and by the way, straight off you can see this lovely holographic metallic embossing on the card, which unfortunately probably doesn't come up very well in video format. There is a booklet, and then we've got the cards. So while I shuffle, I just want to say that I don't buy many new decks these days, and I bet even less on Kickstarter for a number of reasons. And in part that is because I have a good collection. I have been able to accumulate over the past nearly 2 decades, so that any new decks these days that are up on Kickstarter for backing, they need to be able to differentiate themselves from what I already have. When I first saw the Yukika Tarot by Stasia Burrington on Kickstarter, I wasn't really sure it was a deck that I would connect with. I do not have her first deck, the Sakurai Bito Tarot, although I am aware that it is a very popular and highly coveted deck by many. But perhaps because of this, I thought I would give the Yukika Tarot a try. So I should give you an honest disclaimer. I did buy this myself, by the way, and I backed it on Kickstarter. But the disclaimer is to say that while I have only had this deck for a couple of weeks, I have absolutely fallen in love with it. And so perhaps this review is a little bit biased in that sense. Let me just move these and bring them into focus a bit more. Yeah, so my review might be a bit biased because I do really like this deck. I think it is absolutely wonderful. And that's okay. If once again, if you're only here to see the full 78 cards, or technically the 80 cards, then you will find this timestamped in the description box below. I think the Yukika Tarot captures a rare mix of delicate and fierce, of simplicity and depth. I consider it to be a deck more suitable for inner work than for public readings, though I do acknowledge that is a personal opinion. There is a fragility, a tenderness in the characters in these cards, but at the same time, they come through as strong and capable of survival. Perhaps, may I add, a deck so fitting for our times at present. In comes the Justice card. At times, the deck shows a childish, naive, and innocent side, and at other times, it delivers readings without any buffering or diplomacy. The truth is there, uncovered and raw, and you are forced to acknowledge with a sigh the finality of the situation, the issue that is now exposed, unclouded and straight to the point. This is not a frivolous deck. There are no obsolete or superfluous symbols or details. Its energy reminds me of part Gentle Tarot and part Little Sister Tarot, a friendly, supportive energy that contains wisdom and sensitivity in equal dose. I have worked with this deck only for about 2 weeks, as I mentioned. And in that time, I have come to really value its guidance. It's kind of like delivered in a gentle tone, but it's firm. It's kind of like, an old wise lady that comes across really, really sweet and comforting. But, beneath all that is like 100 years of life experience and zero bullshit. Excuse the language. So for that, obviously, I'm very, very happy to have this deck in my collection. I have used it exclusively for readings of a personal nature, more towards a bent of personal growth and development rather than, pragmatic day-to-day stuff. And that's not to say that you can't use it for pragmatic questions, about jobs and career and business and decision-making or stuff like that. But the energy of this deck really lends itself to sitting down with a cup of tea, like right now, speaking of which. And not being afraid to ask some more difficult question about where you're at in life. What are your dreams? What about regrets? What do you need to let go of? What you need to embody or bring in? So very much personal development and growth type of questions. At least for me, that's really what this deck has been all about. And I'm going to pause here with going through the cards, but I just want to quickly discuss the cardstock. Now, the cards do have this quite lovely gilding. It's holographic. I believe the word was used by the artist to describe it, as you can see. And yes, it is on every card back is the same. The cardstock is really, really fantastic. It shuffles or it fans out like a dream. Like, look at that, it just glides out so easily, and I really, really love that. It can be a little bit slippery, especially for those of us who cut decks. That's the only kind of downside, is that when you're cutting it and you put the cards down, they start to kind of slip and slide all over the place. But other than that, it's a really, really nice, sturdy, quality cardstock. And the shimmering gilding and card backs, I consider this day that they have a very feminine floral design with a metallic embossing. And this combination makes it a visual delight. It's kind of a little bit incongruous almost, that sharpness of the metallics with that delicate feminine aesthetic and design. And I think that's kind of like very Japanese. I love everything about Japanese culture, especially their concepts around wabi-sabi, about the perfect imperfectness of life, the temporary nature of it all. I absolutely really, really value and appreciate that. And going to Japan is a bucket list for me, although I'm not really a person to do bucket lists. The other thing I will say is about the booklet. Excuse me. So it has this little booklet in there. Now, I think that the booklet does reflect the minimalism of the deck. Each card is allocated one page, or roughly one page, right? Each card is also allocated 3 keywords, and the meaning is offered through short poetic descriptions that serve more as an entree, a door opening to draw your curiosity in, and just enough guidance to light the way forward. But ultimately, it leaves it up to you, for you must be the one to walk the path all the way and derive meaning beyond what is offered by the artist. So I do commend Stasia Yukika Burrington for this deck. It's been a really, really pleasant surprise for me, and I hope that she continues on her journey as a creator and artist, and contemplates further tarot decks at some point in the future. I think it's absolutely really, really lovely, and it's got my curiosity piqued to look into the Stasia Yukika Tarot. I'm not even sure if that's still available. I hate to think what the shipping charges would be for that, but anyway, that's a story for another time. Let's have a look at all 78 cards one by one. Now, before I start the full flip through, I should perhaps mention very quickly that this deck follows the Rider-Waite-Smith tradition. However, a lot of the major arcana cards have been renamed. For example, the Druid, the High Priestess is renamed the Druid. The Empress is renamed the Matrix. The Emperor is renamed the Ward, and so on and so forth. The Hierophant is the Storytellers. I don't think all of them are renamed, like the Lovers is still the Lovers, but that is quite a few of the major arcana cards. And the extra cards are included, so there's 2 extra cards, one called Wonder and the other one called Wild. And it's one of the few decks where I'm actually going to leave the extra cards in because I really like them, which I think should be the main criteria for leaving any extra cards in. But also, I think that they will fit in really nicely with readings and bring extra layers of context, or getting that intuition flowing by using these extra cards. So as always, thank you for watching. Enjoy.
Thank you.